through some of our first year's work. So on our course, our level 3 course, the students will participate in a variety of practical projects. Those projects, we try to emulate as closely as we can the process you would go through in the industry. So and they tend to do that over and over for projects to build up those skills, and that all culminates in the by the end of the first year of the course, our level 3 course. It culminates in a final major project, and that's where the students will get assessed. And so for that, they'll always make a big practical piece of work, and that practical piece of work in the first year will be a two-dimensional piece of work in some way, a 2D game, whether it be artwork or a game demo or something like that. And in the second year, it will be a 3D piece of work. And so what I wanted to do is just give people an idea of the sorts of work that the students will do. So the work you're about to see is it's work that's been done by the end of the the 6th week of a 10-week project. So they've got 3 or 4 weeks left to finalise their practical projects, finish off their written work, and get it all completed, ready for final submission. And so we're past the prototype staging of building these game demos. For those that are doing the demos, we're starting to get graphics in, mechanics are being finalized, and they're just starting to collect sounds, record sounds, and things like that. So I wanted to start off with this page, which is our Games Design Southport College page. This is on itch, and all of the games that the students make throughout the 2-year course all end up on here in collections. And as you can see, we have them running by year and kind of assignment. So these are all 3D stealth games, if you like. And then we've got 2D platform games. And we change the types of games up year after year. So we tend to have a lot of different things on here. Okay, but these tend to be the finished demos. To get to my actual kind of final major projects for this year, we have to go into our area here, and here we go. Now, currently, we've got them all collected in here. We've got first years and second years all collected together because they will be using this area for testing. So we do 2 rounds of testing per week at the moment, and it's all internal testing, so that the students will test each other's games, give feedback, and then that then affects how they continue to develop the project. I'm going to leave the second year stuff for now and just focus on the first year stuff. So let's have a look at a couple of examples of first year work, and they'll be further down here. So let's start off with this one, Lost Whispers. Oh, sorry, I just need to do that again. So let's come out of that and let's just go back there and open that in a new tab, because then it opens properly. So this game is the student wanted to make an example of a turn-based battle. It's very much like you'd see in Final Fantasy or in Pokemon. And so remember, all of these games that we're looking at today are all mid-production. So they're very rough. A lot of it is unfinished. And of course it would be, because the students really have another 3 weeks to finish these off. Now, the interesting thing for me, I tried this when it was in its prototype phase, and it was just squares on the screen, just blocks. And I said to the student, this is really interesting. I can see it all works, and you've done a really good job of programming it, but it's really difficult to play because so much of a game like this relies on the feedback that you get from the graphics and the effects and stuff. So now that the students got the actual graphics in, I hope you agree, it looks fantastic. He's done a great job with the graphics, but it feels better to play as well. So if I press attack here, and then we get a Z and an X. So I'm going to attack the thing with smoky things coming out of its head. So that's X. We still need, I can see we still need an indication, a better indication of which player I'm controlling. So I think if you notice at the bottom of the screen there, FMP has got their name up and theirs is slightly raised. So I believe that's what they're doing now. So I'm going to defend with them. But again, we don't get any indication. It just moves on to the next character. But we can see the characters gone up there. That's good. Let's magic with them. Let's see if that works. Right. And let's do a shoot all and all. Used a spread shot. And now it goes through and does all the attacks. Which again, I think, probably some of the feedback I'd give is slowing that down and making it a little bit more obvious what's actually happening. But again, a game like this, when you think about it, really does rely on the sound effects, the visual effects, and everything else coming in at the same time. Without the sound at the moment, it really loses something in the fun aspect. And this is something the students have to kind of think about and learn in terms of um, what what is going to make it readable for the players, what's enjoyable for the players. I'm going to try and finish that thing off. So let's see what that does. Oh, I didn't realize he was nearly dead. Oh, so he finished him off and he leveled up. Fantastic. And he finished him off. So let's see if it does anything now. Yeah, nothing there to attack. So yeah, it looks like that's the no, and they've come back with more with more energy. Yeah, and now they're attacking, and I've just lost two of my people. So of course, we're playing this out of the context of the game as well. This wouldn't be the only game. This would be just part of the game, and so you would understand your players' capabilities and what they can take a little bit more, and how strong these enemies are. So there you go. I mean, that's a good example of quite an ambitious project. Um, so in Construct, which is what we use as our 2D game engine, we don't actually do any programming. They do a lot of visual programming. So I'll try and bring some up in a few minutes and just show you kind of how these things are made. But we don't actually teach programming languages on the course because it's a creative arts course. Again, made the same mistake again. Let's just open that up in a new tab. And so I'll show, 3 or 4 of these examples. We'll just make this stream quite short, I think. So this is another interesting project that we've not had before. This student wanted to make like a visual novel, and he's got a particular design focus of kind of demonstrating having the story to do with anxiety. I was actually chatting to him this morning because for those older viewers amongst you that might know this, and younger viewers, this character here, this penguin, reminds me of Mr. Fibble from Red Dwarf when Rimmer is going a bit mad and he has that penguin hand puppet. Anyway, so left click to start. And so if you're familiar with visual novels or if you're familiar with RPGs, you'll notice that this is a very similar kind of discussion-based dialogue tree system. So you're finally here. I'm glad you finally decided to treat me as. And again, without the sounding, these things lose a lot. We'll be getting the sound in, and I know the student will be putting in different expressions for the different characters, not just having the still characters and the text appear on screen. But I love the art style. I like the kind of the hand-drawn aesthetic around the boxes here. This is really good. And even though it seems quite simple, the coding behind this is actually a little bit more complex than it needs to be, especially once you get to, let's see if we can get to it, this where we've got multiple branching paths now. So you can click on it and it'll take the conversation in a different route. Okay, so that's another example of something. Let's have a more traditional example of a game. This one's actually really good. Um, I mean, they're all really good, to be honest, all in their own unique ways. And I will be doing more streams where we're showing off more of them, to be honest. Um, but this one, so now I have spoken to all the students. Oh, this is lagging a little bit. I'll have to have a look at that. I'm left-handed, and that's something to bear in mind with these control systems. A lot of the students have used WASD, which is fine, but I find it a bit tricky because I have the mouse in my left hand. That is really laggy. I wonder why that's happening. Okay, so it's not exactly a demanding game. So this is a stealth game. The blue boxes are kind of areas that the camera can see. So you'll notice if I just go into one, let's go into this a little bit. The detection will go up. Can you see? There you go. And then when the detection goes up all the way, let's do that. We'll have some guards appear. But this is running super, super slowly. And I'm not quite sure why. Sometimes when we upload stuff to itch like this, just something in it can just tank the performance. It certainly wasn't running like this when I last looked at it, so I'll have to speak to the student and see if we can re-upload a new copy. Or it could just be my laptop and the fact that I'm streaming at the same time, maybe, but I hadn't had that performance problems with anything else. So, it seems to be the full screen that's killing it. Okay, interesting. So we'll have to have a look at that. And you can see, so we have this kind of mouse and keyboard control system. I've made this very hard for myself now because we've got guards all over the level, when really you can avoid that. Oh, I think I got killed and started again. So let's try and go through that. And so, oh, rubbish, 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 rubbish. Yeah, of course, that's a guard. So of course the student is just finishing off with the mechanics. Eek. And we'll be putting graphics on this game, and I'm obviously not very good at playing the game and talking about it at the same time. But you can see we've got more of a traditional top-down aspect. Okay, let's have a look at a side-scrolling one now. Well, actually, let's have a look at this one. So, Conjure Night is this one's quite interesting because whereas the last one, the stealth game, the design focus was making an alert system. And when I say the design focus, what I mean by that is something the students haven't explicitly been taught, but they've had to conduct a load of research into, and they're finding how to do something, or they're working it into the design. So in the case of the stealth one we just had, he wanted to learn how to create an alert system for a stealth game. In the case of this one, this student. Oh, we got sound on this one. That took me by surprise. Press space. There we go. This student, and again, it's getting tanked because of the full screen. Although it should be this size, really, this one, because the design aspect for this one, those levels need sorting out on the sound. The design aspect for this one is it's supposed to emulate a GBA experience, a Game Boy Advance experience. Not dissimilar to Link and Zelda. So I played this last week with the graphics and everything. I've not played it since the student put in in the sound effects, and they kind of work. I think they need a little bit of feedback on some of them, and I think maybe they need to be a little bit more snappy. I do like them. It's that one. It's a bit over. And the clapping a little bit. sound effects. Certainly sound effects bring the game to life. That's a nice indicator sound. Like that. So as you can see, quite a different game here. Inspired a lot by Zelda and has gone for that kind of specific graphics look from the Game Boy. Let's show one more, and then I'll show you what they've been making it on. I do plan on doing another stream that shows specifically uh, the software that they use and gives you an introduction to that, so you've got a better idea of what you'd be working on. Let's have a look at where is. So all the ones I've just shown you are game demos, but to be honest, you can do any aspect of games design that you want for your FMP. And so a bunch of people have done, and I'm just trying to look for it, I can't find it. There it is. Have done just artwork. We get a lot of artists on the course, and they want to mainly focus on artwork. Now, we do expect them to work on um, the actual game designs as well, and a lot of their formative units and projects will be games design. But for their FMP, they get to just work on artwork if they want to, concept art or graphics for a game. So this student has been working on this JRPG, creating a whole new kind of visual world for this JRPG. And so she's got these graphics here with explanations of the characters. And I haven't seen this one. This one's brand new. So when I reviewed her work earlier on in the week and this time last week, she had the first two characters, that character and that character. Now over this week, she's got this third character. And as you can see, she's a great artist. Really, really stands out. One of the requirements of the course is for sure. Let me. Sorry, you're not seeing what I'm showing you. You'll have to bear with me. I'm quite new, and I think I've just wrecked that. Let's come back. Quite new to streaming, and so I'm still making tons of mistakes. Because her stuff is on PowerPoint, let me show you a different one. So yeah, so what I was saying, the students don't have to be good at drawing, but have to want to draw. It is an art-based course. There's a lot of technology in there. There's a lot of learning how to make games, but we're a visual arts course. We're part of the creative design department. So there's an expectation that you'll do all your own sketches, concept art, make your own graphics, that type of thing, especially on the 2D. This is actually a second year project, but in second year you can choose to do for your FMP 2D or 3D. It's not a problem at all. So as you can see here, the student, another really good artist. Usually, the students that are really good at art, that want to do art, those two things go hand in hand. She's making artwork for a 2D game, and you can see she's been teaching herself and learning pixel art. And again, we teach a lot at the beginning, the introductions to all these skills, but on a 2-year course, we can't go into any depth, or we don't go into any depth. At level 3, which is the equivalent of A levels, it's an introductory course, but it's a very generalist course as well. So it covers lots of aspects of games design and introduces those. And then obviously the idea is you choose what specialism you want to go into and hopefully go and study that at university. So that is some of the artwork that the students produced for her FMP. Okay, so just before I finish this one, what I'd like to do, and let's see if this works, is just show you kind of an example of our has that come through? Yes, it has. Okay, so let me show you an example. I'll just log in here. An example of what the first years will make their stuff on in 2D. So let me open up one of the files that I've just shown you. Where did I put those? Just bear with me a second. There it is. Sorry about that. Okay, so what did I just show you? Okay, let's see, that one's at the top. Let's show you that one. So we use Construct 3. It's a web-based game engine for 2D. So as long as you've got access to a browser, you can access this at home, in college. You don't need specialist software to buy. It's free to use, although you'll get a license to use it with us, which gives you more options. So as you can see, this is basically what they construct it on. So that is Conjure Knight's game world that he's walking around. And so it's a visual drag and drop kind of situation in terms of the assets. Each of the assets we can go into an editor here. Mostly the students will create their stuff on Photoshop, but they might want to touch some stuff up, and they certainly build the prototypes using that. And then the coding, as it were, let's see what we've got here. Oh, it's going a bit slow. What am I looking for? Event sheet 1. These are all just... Right, so this is the coding. And so as you can see, you don't do traditional coding on the course. You learn to build this sort of stuff up. And it looks incredibly complicated, and it isn't, you know, the simplest thing. But over the course of the year, with the different projects that you do with us, you'll learn how the system works. And essentially, this side of the code is all what we call events. So something happens, usually user input or a collision of some sort. So in other words, if the player hits D on the keyboard, what happens? Well, this stuff happens. These are actions. So if you hit D, then the player character there will move right, and the right animation will play. If this enemy collides with the enemy bow, with the sword, then these things happen. It spawns a gem. You set the color to, I think that's red. Yeah, 8000, red, green, blue. And the system. Oh, hold on a sec. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Always challenging doing this sort of stuff at home when you've got deliveries during the day. So, as I was saying, if you hit this thing with your sword, so the two things collide, you'll spawn a gem, it'll go red, it waits for a second, then destroys the enemy. And so basically you build up the game this way. Now, if you are a programmer and you do program code, then you'll be looking at this going, yeah, that's totally inefficient, and there's no loops in there, and, you know, all of the kind of the foundational stuff for programming isn't there. But what this allows us to do, I mean, you do kind of start to get an idea of game logic and programming logic from it, but this doesn't teach programming, but it does allow anybody to be able to make a game. And that's the important thing. Again, I reiterate, we're not a computer science course, we're a creative course. It does allow people to start to understand how games are made, which is what important in the first year. Now, in the second year, we go on to Unity. Again, we still don't teach programming, which is challenging when you're dealing with Unity, although things like Bolt will start to help that out a lot. But you don't necessarily have as much creative freedom in terms of mechanics for the game on something like Unity, because we'll give you all the code that we've got. But being a creative course, we'd focus on things like level design and stuff like that. So that is really an introduction to the sort of work our students are doing and where they're up to in their FMP at the moment. I will be doing more of these streams where we'll look at second year work and look at the different pieces of software. But this is really just to help any prospective student like yourself understand what it is we do at the course. You can find us the various different social networks at the bottom, or if you scan the QR code with your camera, that'll take us straight to our course page on